obviously, you know that the river, the water coming out of the faucet didn't turn to blood because anyone knew about this, right? And you know, the sun still kept rising in the east and setting in the west. And I mean, I really, because before it had been so paralyzing and terrifying. And so I think for me, if I could, and obviously now we're obviously super public, podcasts and books and everything about this whole thing, and you know, our clinics that we run, I would go back and I would have been open and sought help sooner. I would have found trusted people who got it and would have just said, look, like, this isn't like a little, you know, you don't know what you don't know, right? But like, just, I have a problem. And
Yeah.
and not just in terms of seeking help, but just starting to practice owning it, right? Owning this part of me that I was keeping from everyone all the time, so that I could start living in my own skin, I guess is the way that I think about it. Because before it was just a facade, you know,
Yeah.
and the longer I did it, the longer the more distant that facade came, you know, was from who I really was.
Yeah, me too. If I could go back, I would have just somehow dared to take the risk. Just dared to be open. In fact, a super quick story. So I kept this secret from everyone for decades, from the time I was a kid well into my adult life. Finally, when I got just this little tiny molecule of courage to try to dare to tell someone, I remember going up to a religious leader at a meeting on a Sunday, and I had been reading a book that was about addiction, and one of the chapters in the book was about sexual addiction. And there wasn't a whole lot written about this back then. And so
Yeah.
to tell you how totally terrified I was of telling anyone, what I did with the chapter in this book is I highlighted with a yellow highlighter all the places in the chapter that told about my addiction. And then I earmarked that chapter in the book with a little yellow sticky. And I walked up to my religious leader and I said, would you please read these highlighted sections and then call me? That's all I could tell him. I
Okay.
couldn't say I have an issue. I want to meet with you. Here's a book.
Yeah.
So I handed it to him and I walked away. And then I didn't hear from him for weeks. And of course, my addict, ego conjuring brain said, yep, I knew it. I knew it. Now he knows, and he's never going to talk to you again. You're basically a dirtbag. All of your fears have come true. And I think a day or two later, he called me and he says, hey, can you come in and meet with me? I'll never forget walking into his office. He had the book on his desk, and he had this most serious, dejected look on his face, like his dog had just died. And I'm just like, yep, I told you,
It's over.
It's over. I'm about to be, excommunicated from my faith, and the whole community's going, they're going to send me to prison. And then he said something I'll never forget. He looked at me with this really just distraught face, and he said, Mark, how did you know?
Oh gosh.
And I remember like I was stunned, and I'm like, how did I know? How did I know what? And he said, how did you know that this is what I suffered with for years and years and years of my life? How did you find out?
Oh, wow.
And I was stunned. And I looked at him and I said, no, I didn't give that book to you because I knew about your issue. I gave it to you because it's the only way I knew to start to tell you about my issue.
Oh my gosh.
And we both looked at each other with this look that's just irreplaceable. You just can't. And then this nervous laugh started from both of us, like, oh my gosh, I thought it was you. No, I thought it was you.
Holy cow.
That was the first breakthrough out of my secrecy and shame. And the conversation we had was absolutely astounding.
Yeah.
And bless his heart, he was in his position of leadership. He actually was really raw and open with me and told me about the struggles he'd had years previous. And that actually opened the way where I could start to dare to be honest and transparent. Now, I didn't open up to everybody right after that meeting with him. It took years. It took years of chipping away and layer by layer to be able to be really authentic. But boy, I would
Yeah.
do that quicker and sooner. You way back when, because it kept me stuck for a long time.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Great way to, demonstrate just how much other people, live in secrecy with this.
Seriously, right?
Oh, absolutely. No, I love that. That's a great story.